I guess one of the questions coming up in my mind as we talk, is there a particular way that you determine which system, I mean, do you rely on the person's report of symptoms, or do you have some way of diagnosing or testing for the person to determine for them? I mean, sometimes people may have a symptom that they don't associate, let's say, with digestive tract, but you may know that there is a connection. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I do use kinesiology, which is muscle testing, to determine the needs of the person. And I also use what they tell me for the symptoms. And a lot of times what will show up in a muscle testing or kinesiology session will not relate to the symptom that they're telling me about, because the body doesn't consider it to be important. So yes, I do use kinesiology pretty much exclusively to figure out what people need.
So you have, I'm assuming you have a protocol you go through with each person that tests each system? And
right, yes, and that's basically what it is. I test organs, glands, systems, and other, which would be ears, eyes.
And you can also, I know quite a bit about kinesiology, so that means you could test whether certain oils would be specifically beneficial, or particular herbs, or...
Right, you match the vibration up to the body, and that's what we're doing.
So that sounds fascinating. So what, I guess I'm kind of talking for my imaginary viewer, in sense of they might want to know, for instance, how long does it take to, come and see you and have an appointment, say just to start out? What happens in that first appointment, and how long would it take?
It takes about an hour to go over it in the beginning, maybe a little longer for the first appointment. And I try to teach people how to help themselves, so they don't have to keep coming back to me all the time. And what would happen in that is they would tell me what their symptoms are, what issues they're looking at, and I would help them see what they would need to do to change that, to bring them into well-being. We don't really work on disease at all. And I don't diagnose.
Right. Well, I think that's, from my view, that's an important thing to not do.
Right.
Because we know, I mean, I work with hypnosis a lot, and we know that words, and particular diagnoses, have a certain vibration and a certain effect that kind of creates, sort of crystallizes a condition that most often should not be crystallized.
Absolutely.
So I think it's like what you're saying is, rather than call it cancer, we're going to call it a disruption of your vibration in this part of your body, and go about trying to change that vibration and bring it back into a healthy vibration. Is that accurate?
Yes, absolutely, because words are one of the most powerful things that we have for healing. And it's very important for people to continue to have hope, and for them to realize that really there's nothing that people can't overcome. We were all sent here as perfect, energetic, spiritual beings, and we still are that. We just have vibrations within that are disrupting that energy.
So thus the title of your book, Health is in the Spirit, and the subtitle, we are all we need.
Right.
And so you help people to see that, and give them the tools, and help them to focus on what they need to do to bring that vibration back into harmony and balance and strength.
Right. Well, when my son was diagnosed and he was very sick, I had some people that came in, practitioners. I called everyone I knew to please help. And they said, well, Joe, you have certain things that you need to work on emotionally, and you should get busy on that. And he's like, what are they? And they didn't know. They couldn't tell him. They said, well, you have to go deep within and find that out. Well, with this work, we could have told him what it was, and that was one of the things that I wanted to know, was how do people get to the bottom of their issues? How do they even know what's going on in the subconscious? And through this work, you can do that and address it. And sometimes people have things that come up that they aren't able to address. I mean, they can't, if you can't see it or understand it, you can't really go after it on a conscious level. So that's where some of the tools come in, because they help the body resonate at the right frequency.
So I'm also imagining a viewer or someone interested in what you do that may not have any real symptoms or feel like they're ill. What would you say to someone like that? I guess, I mean, do you do something like a tune-up or, just an energy check or?
Yep. I do that too, where we just go through the body and see if there's anything that tests as a great need. And a lot of times with healthy young kids, there's not. There's not much. I mean, there's a few things that show up, but we index it and we see if it's an important issue. And usually the body takes care of most of those things that come up. Just the little things. Yeah,
well, good. I'm sure people would be interested in it. I'd be interested in that myself, just to kind of get a sense of it and do a check with your system of understanding our energy. We've only got about a minute left, so I wanted to give you a chance to talk about if you have any classes coming up, where you're located, how people get a hold of you. I know we've got your information. We'll put up on the screen as well, but
people can get a hold of me through my email, which is Claudia Burdick at burdickinstitute.com. They can email me there, or burdickclaudia@gmail.com. They can call me at the number that's listed on the screen, and also my address is 4899 North Montana Avenue, and that's where people would come to see me. They can send me the information they need over an email, and I'll contact them and give them an appointment if they would like, or just more information too. If you go on my website, there is information about things you can do to help yourself.
Right. And I think you mentioned you have a class coming up. It's not all totally set in stone as far as when.
Right.
But
yes, that class will be coming up in June this year, and it's my healing system is called Magnificent Perception Healing System, because depending on how we see things is how we create our world and our reality.
So the class would explain that system? And
yes, there are 9 elements to the system, so that would be 9 different classes, because there's a lot of information. I can't do it all in one setting.
I see.
So the class is from 4 to 6 hours, the first class. We just did one in Seattle, and in that class people will learn how to muscle test right away. It's not hard, and get proficient at it, and learn how to find out their own information.
Great. Well, sorry to say we're out of time, but I want to thank you for coming and talking to us and informing us about this fascinating, say it again, the Magnificent Perception.
Yeah, the Magnificent Perception Healing System.
Interesting. Again, your book, Health is in the Spirit, We Are All We Need, by Claudia Burdick. So thank you again, Claudia.
Thank you.
To our viewers, thank you for joining us. Until we meet again, this is Will Michael wishing you a joyful journey on your path of the heart.